All right. Hey, welcome to Talk About Paint Club, your tri-monthly tangent from the world around you. I'm Rick Strohmeyer, your host, and I'm flying solo tonight. So let's see. I'm still doing a little bit of work on the old alerts and stuff, so please bear with me. There we go. And we'll get going. All right. This is my voice. Uh-oh. The hell? Seriously. Okay. Sorry for the dead air, y'all. All right. So let's see. We got big day in the big week to world. Okay. All right. Let's start over. Yeah. So I'm flying solo this week. It's been a crazy 2 weeks since we've been gone, and okay. So Nicole's not able to join us tonight. For those following at home, live and in the the recording, excuse me. We had in the toy industry, we had or in the toy scene, we had a loss this past week, Saturday. So 1 week ago, we lost our good friend Jennifer Skidoots, and it has been the impact has been felt throughout the toy community, and we're all grieving her loss. And Nicole has taken it quite heavily, and she's just going to sit this one out tonight. And so we're going to move on and do probably mostly a live paint session tonight. So yeah, our hearts go out to Jennifer's family, and we I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to lose my good friend, and yeah, kind of pretty speechless about it. Let's see. Fuck. All right. So, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to put in my headphones. So hopefully the mic caught things, and if it did not, I'm sorry. It's that kind of day. All right. Turn on this. Yeah, there you go. No problem. So, and not only did we as a toy community lose our good friend Jennifer this week, not 12 hours before Jennifer's passing, my in-laws side of the family had a big loss, and just like within 12 hours, two big deaths in my life. And yeah, so my dear wife is dealing with part of that loss right now, and she's strong as ever, and yeah, so here for her support, and And yeah, so great big losses in less than a week, and it's incredible. So to quote one of my favorite YouTubers, drink some water, hug your mom, hug everybody you can. So, all right. So Nicole has wants to say hi, so we're gonna give her that pop real quick. All right, there you go. Yep. All right, so we're gonna be going a little slow tonight. That's all right. And yep. I felt the shirt for considering the day or the where I was today appropriate for tonight. And right now I don't care if I get paint on it. So it was a good work shirt. Was a good shirt to be out everywhere. And if I get paint on it tonight, meh. Plenty other spam there. Lots of other spam out there. All right. Hey, there's Nicole. She wants to say a couple words and then hello, Pumpkin.
Hi. Oh, I'm already gonna cry just fucking looking at you. Okay. Yeah, Rick said it. She actually passed Monday, so
Oh.
it's been it's been a week. And then Devil's Knot came on Monday. No, on Wednesday. On Wednesday, so I was with him for a while, and yeah, today's just fucked up because yeah, my brain is like it's starting to compute that like things have happened versus like being in the things. So yeah, that's fun. I wanted to say I love you guys, and that I love you, Rick, like vocally. Oh yeah, I'm a hot mess. We're gonna keep crying. Um, and I wanted to show that Red Guardian made Jen an official creatives member.
Oh, very cool.
It's a proto, and it's of the card that she made him. So he's sending it's $0 on his website, but if you make a donation to her GoFundMe, which is like all over my everything, he will and you go to his website and just say, you know, whatever in like the things like oh donated whatever, he will send you a card. So I got enough for her family. I bought 6.
Very cool.
And if anybody is coming, I guess that's watching this, that's a part of our community. It's next Saturday. I'm hoping because it's early. I'm hoping I'm home so we can do it Saturday, and it could be a nice like little like let's honor Jen and like my maybe my hand won't feel so cramped from driving for like weeks. Um, and my answers of what have you been working on lately won't be like oh, emotional disaster. What have you been listening to? Nothing. I think that's like a big part of like why I was like, oh, I'm not going to be any fun today because I am going to just be sitting here fucking emotional. But I want to spin our wheel so we have our color
Oh, there you go. That's cool.
because there are little things that I'm trying to like at least for like the first like I don't know for a little bit I'm trying to like keep like doing like little things that are normal so I'm not like fully like diving into hell of my emotions. So I went to yoga, and this is another one. This is another normal thing, and Jen liked paint club, so
Yeah.
we should spin the wheel
Oh, there
for
you.
Jen. And anyone who didn't know her, just think of her daughter Ray. Keep her in your hearts, and yeah, that's it. So here's Robot, and we're gonna spin it.
It's black.
No, it's not actually. If it was black, I'd be like, okay, I give up. Good night. I wait. Okay, I was like, wait, I'm looking at the wrong side. It's what the fuck is this?
Ooh, what the fuck is this? Is a great color. I'd say it's more like a salmon pink than a coral pink, but yeah.
Now I gotta open it. Oh, that's an interesting. It's called Jupiter Red.
Jupiter red.
So it's not a red. It
That's
looks more
cool.
like, oh god, it looks more like a pinkish red, like a cherry red kind of.
Okay.
Like when someone says, "Oh, her cherry lips," and it has like that little pinkish tone in like the deep red. It's like that color.
Mhm. Okay.
It's what you would consider cherry red for artificial cherries.
Oh, good.
There we go. I was like that's the best way. It's not a real cherry red. It's like chapstick cherry red.
Okay. There you go. That's a great way to color it. All right.
Yeah. I just want to tell you I love you, and I wanted to do that. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna go lay down again. I love you.
Well, you too. Have a good night. Have a
Can
good day.
Give Alicia my
Oh, sure.
big
Oh, sure.
all of
She's,
these
she's up
because
there
I
right now, so yeah.
if she's watching or if she watches later, each one of these is a new hug.
Shame on her if she doesn't. That's what I do.
Hey,
Like, what's
paint
up?
bravely.
There you go. You too. All right.
Bye.
Be cool, Nicole. See ya. Thanks for coming by. Have a good night. All right. Okay, so there we go. All right, so the let's see, we're just gonna hit the format real quick and be a little all over the place, and that's okay. Let's see. So let's see, get simple. Oh, we don't. What are we drinking tonight? The amazing elixir that is life. We call water. Because before this, it was Dr. Pepper and milkshakes, which sound dreadful. My headphones on. You guys hear me all right? I assume you can hear me since Nicole and I were chit chatting. All right, so yeah, I'm drinking water because I've come off day 2 of a 3-day adventure at the Minneapolis Gift and Art Expo. And yeah, I've been doing the very foolish con thing of not having a lot of water there, so I don't have to go pee a lot, which means, lowered immune system, which means I have had a Dr. Pepper float. I don't care for it as much as a root beer or a Coke float. In fact, I think, as blasphemous as it may seem, I think Dr. Pepper is my least preferred soda to make a float out of. And then it would be Pepsi as the worst. In fact, just Pepsi in general sucks, but they don't pay me. But yeah, so I cannot stand Pepsi. But Dr. Pope, yeah, sorry, dude. Like, although last time I was in Texas, I did have the Dr. Pepper milkshake at Whataburger, and it was pretty good. Yeah. So I may do a little bit of con review in just a few seconds. Actually, no. Well, all right. So the big con of a con is the idea if you're flying solo, your bathroom breaks may be few and far between. And I was flying solo today. But let's see, the place that the convention I'm at is probably one of the most expensive booths that I've paid for locally, and in it they do have people who you can sign up for, and you can have people come watch your booth for like lunch or bathroom breaks. So I end up getting somebody who looks like Zidania to watch my booth for a couple times while I to go pee. So I was pretty grateful for that. Let's see, the big con for this con was that there were 3 events in the Minneapolis Convention Center at one time, which for a venue that size, that's great for them. It's absolutely wonderful. They had a cardiologist a reunion or whatever function on the middle floor. Um, we were on the bottom floor, and then on the top floor was a Twin Cities Con, which everybody was calling the Comic Con, which is great. And our good buddies Plastic Pizza was up there. Didn't know they were in town until I saw them on Instagram, and then yeah. Um, so you had two conventions sandwiched between a gathering of cardiologists, which was kind of neat because they, when they were bored or when they were taking a break, they wandered down to the Gift Expo and bought things. And I conveniently had some anatomical heart magnets that they were that some people gravitated towards, totally by coincidence. Um, the weird thing is like just the idea of I think I've discussed this before on the show about like just a weird level of rudeness that you encounter that one encounters at conventions and stuff. And this was the vibe last week was really nice. Most people were very polite, convention go attendees and vendors, and but you turned up the volume on the size and whatnot, and you just had some weird, rude ass people show up, and just most of them just really, really old, opinionated folks who wanted to just try and make sure that their opinion was heard and but not appreciated. So what can you do? Oh, I know what I did. They're not buying anything from me anyway. So yeah. Let's see the good things about the event. A lot of people who enjoyed seeing the fun things. My booth stood out from virtually everybody else's because nobody else had designer toys there and or custom toys. There's a shit ton of really cool things there, and there's some stuff that's just there's a shit ton of really cool stuff there. And let's see, my neighbors. I'm going to go with just who's directly across from me, directly to my left, and directly to my right. And so one of my neighbors makes a lot of like owl related like pillows and plushes and things like that, and really nice, really cool handmade stuff. Neighbor across from me does vintage records and memorabilia and stuff, and dude looks like Seth Meyers. So cool on that. And then to the other side of me, I had a CBD facility preaching the good word and showing off their potential legalized recreation material. So good on them as well. So all in all, good neighbors, and got to see a lot of vendors that I've encountered through in the past year and a half, and some people were being really bold. At least two of them that decided they'd take booths at the Gift Expo and the Twin City Con, and yeah, so good on them. One of the nasty reoccurring comment I heard was, "Why aren't you upstairs?" And it's like, because those booths are twice as much. And they don't have a fucking comment for that, which is kind of funny. It's like, the snippy assumption, because even though you didn't even go in there, that I should be up there. And probably so, but cost of entrance was way higher than than I felt comfortable with. So, yeah. Let's see. What is the nicest things is just like all the oohing and awing. Some of the really cool things were like people just like from 10 feet away while they're walking, they're like, "Ooh, that," and they want that without like question or comment. They're just like they saw something that they absolutely had to have, and I absolutely had to sell it to them. That's cool. Other cool interactions was just like the idea of like explaining my humor in stickers, which is pretty much like physical memes, and that's pretty fun too. Um, and just a lot of interaction with some people who may not be able to afford anything, but we're happy to just walk around and see the cool stuff. Cool on them. People who took interest in wanting to connect on Instagram or YouTube. Always looking for that kind of um, support. Because clicking subscribe on a YouTube channel costs nothing. And if I watch more than 2 videos on YouTube from any one creator, I end up clicking the subscription button, because every subscription helps, and it is not a recommend. It is not like me pandering or fishing to this audience, because yeah, just I know what other creators want to do and try and do, and yeah, happy to push along. I'm doing my part. This participation is a group effort. Yeah, and then let's see what else was cool. Oh yeah, last person I interacted with today. Um, I was showing off a lot of dog pictures today, mainly because of my Pup Pup platform, and explaining that it's my dog. If I wanted her to look like Winnie the Pooh, and very happy with a lot of the reactions I got from the pictures of the dog and the reception from the platform itself. And when and some folks, oh, what's her name? And you tell them. And but the last person I spoke with ended up getting the reference right off the bat because she knew it. And as a very happy, like, thank you, I ended up giving her a sticker pack for her trivial knowledge. And and then she bought 2 stickers from me. So what the hell? That's a win in a that's 2 wins in a row. Um, then let's see. And the really nice thing about this event is what I'll experience Monday. So it's a 3-day event: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're allowed to We're allowed to go in Monday and pack up. So that's really nice. After 3 days of busting your ass to set up, keep inventory all around, and socialize with people for 3 non-stop days, instead of having to break down and leave after 3 days of that, you're able to go home, take a snooze, and come back and just load up your crap if that's your bag. So really nice on that. And the other nice feature about this is the idea that um, it is at the Minneapolis Convention Center. The inner workings of that facility are huge. Excuse me. I've been talking all day, so if we get a little raspy, I'll be a little raspy. Um, I'll be like Tom Waits or Todd Rundgren or somewhere in between. And let's see. So clean up on Wednesday or clean up on Monday, and you get to drive into the venue itself. So like this place is huge. It's a convention center that has multiple levels, and you get to drive through the inner workings where like delivery guys go into and stuff. And when I parked to unload, I was about 100 feet or less from my booth, and that I have that same expectation on Monday to have that kind of level. So I won't be battling the cold or the wind or the rain to load up, which is really nice, and I can do it all in one truckload. So yeah, so that's super nice and super appreciative. And that being said, I have to take a quick break because of. I'll be right back, and I thank you all for tuning in. All right. All right. So should have had a little do music going on. Maybe I should do that. Future me will think of an intermission video in case such things happen again. Anyway, so yeah, the event has been pretty good. Um, like, um, it's a nice big indoor adventure. Just as the weather's starting to turn cold. So yeah, and hopefully I don't have a football game to compete with next week or tomorrow, because last week we had the Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers, and that kind of, it was anticipated that it would screw up Sunday sales, and apparently it didn't. But that was the big prediction by more seasoned folk. We were all very grateful that it did not, but so we'll see. We'll see if the Vikings' activity tomorrow impacts anything. And then what else? All right, so let's see. We're just going to go down the format now of like, what have we been drinking? Water. Why? Con, dehydration, etc. We got the color of the month. It is now Jupiter Red. It is a very artificial cherry flavoring. Let's see. What have we been doing lately? A lot. Because of doing back-to-back events, and it is of course the holiday season, and people are excited to try and buy that unique gift for other people. I've just been painting like crazy. I have taken a shine to painting book nooks, and using using people's expertise on Etsy to acquire said book nooks, because the ones that I've been painting are licensed out from one 3D renderer to printers for monthly use. And yeah, people print them in different sizes to just get them out there. And I have found some designs that I really like. And yeah, so I would like to pull up. I'm going to pull up one or two. Yeah, I'll pull up one that I painted. Let's see, what day is it? I painted Thursday, and the plan was to shoot a video of it, which all the footage was recorded, and then have the video edited and uploaded before yesterday, and that didn't happen. And what unfortunately happened to me is that somebody in the afternoon was walking by, saw the book nook that I painted, and bought it from me before I could bring it home tonight and take glamour shots of it and blacklight shots as well. So yeah. And so, like, when I was talking to the nice young lady who picked it up from me, I was telling her the intent was to make a video, and I asked her, it was like, would you mind if I do this? Like, and like, if you said, I mean, like, and I said to her, I was like, if you say no, I have no problem, because all I did was turn on the camera above, and I haven't edited it. All I have is just a lot of raw footage. And she said no problem. So I got her email address, so that once the thing gets uploaded, I can say like, hey, this is your book nook. Here it is, with me painting it in time lapse, glorious time lapse. And yeah, so I would like to share the Cthulhu one that I just painted just 3 days ago. 3 days? Yeah. No. So I have no blacklight shots of this. But here we go. A yellow Cthulhu, big green eye peering out. I ended up staging it in a small crate from IKEA. Oh, I should take that staple out. So yeah, I ended up grabbing some little sketchbooks to be able to put in this crate. It is about, I believe, 8 inches. Yeah, I believe it's 8 inches wide. So the height of the book nook is 8 inches. And yeah, I think it's a little bigger than a VHS tape. And I went with I had painted a ring pattern throughout it because at first I was thinking make it go with a blue ringed octopus, and I kind of scrapped that idea as I was moving along, and just went full yellow or various shades of yellow. And in my screenshots, there we go. And I left those rings as a subtle texture underneath, a subtle pattern underneath, and it turned out wonderful. I'm very pleased with that. Pleased that it found a home, and happy to work on more. And as a result, after 2 days of wanting to sell paintings and talk about art, when Nicole said she needed to step out, I was like, great, I'm going to do a live painting tonight if we have time. So I think we have at least half an hour worth of time in me before I want to crap out for the night. It's been a long day. And who knows, once you get the juices moving again, maybe I'll stay up even longer. It's a good day to be painting. There's no two ways about it. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna move the focus over a little from this dummy to the production area. So one of the things that look at that, I'm little. All right, so one of the things that I spent last 2 weeks doing is making a series of glazes, because I do like to work with transparent colors or transparent paints, and instead of like spending shit tons of money that doesn't have to be spent, just did something that we did in the old days, make our own. And so I ended up grabbing all of my acrylic inks and ended up making a lot of pre-mixed, that's a bad example, a lot of pre-mixed glazes and put them in eyedropper bottles. And at some point in time during Paint Club, we discussed design, why I hate a lot of the bottles that manufacturers put stuff in. And for professional artists containers or model paints, there's always there's never what I feel like is the perfect container. Dropper bottle there, and you have all kinds. You have dropper bottles, you have paint pots, you have the syrup nozzles, the twisty dropper bottles, and I don't like any of them. Like this one's probably one of the better ones, and it's got a little bit of a screw cap, and it's got the long spout, but in the end, they all get gunky at the tip. Paint collects here, or it collects inside, and I hate it. It's just some part of waste that I hate. One model company that I use, as I cleverly cover up their label, like this shit happens all the time, and I freaking hate it. There's where your paint comes out, and this shit happens all the time. I hate it. Other paint companies, let's see, these dropper bottles, and sometimes they stay clean like this. Sometimes this shit happens, and I hate that too, where it's all like could be crap up there. Freaking hate that. That's actually one of the cleaner versions. But you can see how like the paint's even oozed out and accumulated up at the shoulder of that. And you got to wipe it off before you go put it back in, so that it seals up well. If not, it accumulates in the cap, and then it accumulates on the dropper, and then shit dries out. What I hate about that is that you do have to clean it. Then there's paint that you fucking waste, right? Like you're not even doing anything with that fucking paint. You just waste it, and I hate that. And then you have, let's see, then when you go from dropper bottles like that, you have, let's see, little paint pots like so, where let's see, that one doesn't have a hint. This would be a great example for it. We're just going to grab a brown, because I fucking love brown. So you got a pot like that, and you open her up, and then your little bit of paint is right here in the inside, and dab that, right? Well, if you use this as your paint dispenser, you have a possibility of knocking it over. This one's actually dried up on me, which is great, right? So a pot like this, oh, look at that, also is based on a hinge. When that hinge breaks, that pot sucks because it's cool. Look at that. Now you have fucking two parts you have to worry about. And if you're messy with that little scoop, paint gets around the lip. Let's see if I can find one that's, yeah, so this one's messy, not because I'm horrible at this, but because I will pour this directly into my airbrush. You can see, like, when it accumulates here, it's no good. It breaks that airtight seal. You grab a dental tool and you clean it out, and then you're like, great, I cleaned it out. And then you have this ring of paint that you fucking got out, and it's like, great, that's paint that was wasted. I don't like waste, right? Let's see. Rick's criticism on paint pots, right? So let's see. Yeah, and then there's Liquitex's gouache. That's that's about what they all look like in the end. And when you get a little bit of that, it goes in there. So then let's see. Oh, and the Citadel pot, where people are in a love-hate relationship with that. This one's weird because, like, they put this intentional tab on the back to try and keep it closed because Games Workshop makes these things to fail. So they have this little thing on the back to try and keep the thing closed. But you could also smush it all the way open so it keeps your pot open, so that when you have the little bit of paint on the scoop, it's now open. And then, so this is kind of predatory. You have this there, and if you forget to close it, it now creates a seal or a vent there so that air can get in and out and dry up your paint more. So then then you have to grab like a metal dental pick or something and push that out, or you get paint all over your hands. So yeah, modelers love to hate on this one. And some modelers like to preach the idea of decanting these into eyedropper bottles, because eyedropper bottles are so great. And yeah, and I fucking hate that idea more, because not only do you bitch about this inferior product there, then you just transfer it to something else, but then you're wasting some paint in the transfer process, and you're still like, cool, I have this extra chunk of plastic that I can throw away. All right, so meanwhile, back at the original tangent, my own glazes, right? I have them in dropper bottles. I ended up buying these dropper bottles for one project and scrapped it and used it for this project. This is not what I would consider this to be probably one of the better solutions for paint storage, mainly because from here, I can transfer this I can shake this up and then successfully put it into my airbrush drop by drop, and it will allow a lot of control there. The only real big drawback is, you just have to be accurate in putting it back and make sure you don't scrape the sides of it, so you don't rub paint off to the side so it doesn't ooze down and eventually try and clog up your threads. So, for those of you who really know me, you know that I do not keep a lot of things tidy in the house or in my studio, and there's times where I have to do a great purge of cleaning before I can move on to the next project. But my paint bottles, man, do I want those to be cleaned up. I really do. It's like, that's where that in my life is where I want to keep control the mess. Yeah. And sometime this week, I will probably do a live stream on my other channel, Art and Toy Theory at Rickstro, and to do a great big deep cleaning on my another airbrush. So a couple weeks ago, I ended up doing a live stream to clean up my detail airbrush. I have two, or yeah, I have two airbrushes. One is my workhorse detailing brush, which I'll do fine line, or I'll do fine work with it, and I'll also do big broad projects with it. Um, but that one I ended up letting it get too gunked up, and I had to do a big 24-hour soak on it before I could do the deep cleaning, which I streamed live for about an hour and a half. But it had me reinvent how I use this really crappy one I got on Amazon, the Masters series, and it's a fine airbrush. As a beginner level, it's fine. You can definitely tell on some of the threads and the knurlings that it's really rough, but it gets the job done. It shoots air through its system. It puts paint in the air in the stream where it needs to, and it'll shoot out a decent amount of paint. Is it the best beginner airbrush? No, it most certainly is not. It's a great beginner airbrush for somebody who knows what they're doing, so that they know how to adjust for the weird inconsistencies of such things. But I ended up, it came with 3 different needle and nozzle sizes, and I ended up putting the biggest one on there so that I could blow as much paint through as possible. And with the biggest nozzle, I was very much gambling on the idea that it would be harder to clog. And sure enough, like, it served me great for the 3 days while my other airbrush was being cleaned. That I've been using it for 2 weeks straight, and it looks like hell on the outside with various runoff paints and all kinds of stuff. So it's now due for the deep cleaning that the other one got. The really bad thing about the really crappy $40 airbrush that I did get on Amazon is the trigger absolutely is horrible. It has an edge to it that it has an edge to it that I do not care for. To where, like, I'm going to sound like that Dire Straits song, like it's put a blister on my finger. So yeah, it's my pointer finger has become very calloused over the use of this really crappy airbrush. And one of my original solutions was just to put a Band-Aid on, and that's going to be the extra padding I need. That did not work. Then the other solution I had was you can make a silicone putty with silicone caulking, 100% silicone, and cornstarch. And so I made a little pad to put on the airbrush and let it cure. And that thing was that was like my own brainchild of how to try and mitigate this, and that did not work. It was like putting on a diaper over your underwear. So yeah, back to the just grin and bear it and be like, well, eventually this will be an unfeeling thing, and I won't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, that's that. So let's see. Color of the month, Resin Rescue. Nope. Weekly background sound. Background sounds. So let's see. There's a lot I've been listening to lately, and I guess since oh my gosh, I realized when I was saying it, I was wrong in the timeline for Jennifer's passing between and Alicia and Alicia's loss. And I was like, it felt like 12 hours. No, it was about a day and a half, 2 days later. Just one. My confusion at the moment was the fact that one happened at 3 o'clock in the morning and one happened at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And my deepest apologies for forgetting for dropping that ball. All right, so what have we been listening to lately? Lots of Tom Waits. Gosh, I guess 2 weeks ago I rediscovered how much I like Motorhead. Just Not a lot of it, but like just enough to be like, time to go. And let's see, and Iron Maiden. It sounds really freaking weird, but I haven't listened to Iron Maiden since I was, 30 years. I haven't listened to Iron Maiden. So it was like the trifecta of British metal this past 2 weeks: Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and Judas Priest. I've been listening to Judas Priest since I was in high school. So Painkiller is the best album they ever made, and it didn't get as much press as it should have. Thanks to Judas Priest getting other press because of the suicide song conspiracy at the time. They spent all their time in court instead of actually promoting that amazing album. Let's see. So, oh my gosh, what the hell? Oh yeah. Let's see. I appreciated Jesus Nice on the Daily Show. That was pretty cool. Hilarious to listen to Colbert, and I'm very grateful for the writer strike being done, just because I get all my late night comedy guys. And I did not know Strike Force 5 was a thing. Strike Force 5 was a podcast hosted by Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon, Myers, and John Oliver. And I don't like Jimmy Fallon, but I had no idea they had made this thing while I was while the writer's strike was on, or I probably would have tuned in for that. But they're selling merch, and I guess there's 5 months worth of material to go back and listen to. And I probably will at some time. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, we were listening. It was Halloween, so we were listening to H.P. Lovecraft audiobooks. That's rad. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, we spent some time watching some good old-fashioned movies. On Halloween, we watched. We had a couple guests over, and we watched Rocky Horror Picture Show. And my only caveat to having guests was, they all know I'm going to paint, right? Like, I'm going to be sitting down and painting last-minute things for this event. And everybody was cool with that idea, so I sat down and listening to Rocky Horror and painting some really cool things. And I forgot how good the music was on that. And surprisingly, the movie's 50 years old, and you still have a good amount of the cast that are still alive, which is amazing. And then the next night, couple nights later, we ended up watching Clue again. Clue is without a doubt one of the best comedy movies out there. It's just like it also has an amazing cast, coincidentally with Tim Curry. And it is fantastic. And we finally decided that after all the times we have watched it independently and together, that we would actually try and keep track of where the murderers are. And it holds. Hello, young lady. How are you tonight? Thanks for making time. Except according to Henry Rollins, and I agree with it, you can't make time. You can set aside time, but you can never make time. You have a finite amount, and you can only give it away. And I appreciate you giving some for tonight. So, thank you. So, let's see, where are we going now? Let's see where we're going with this. Okay, that. Somebody else's painting. I haven't looked at anybody else's artwork. It's just the way it is. Sorry. All right. So let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so we have, like I said, I've grown a large affection for wanting to paint book nooks, and like even make some out of some fanciful plans that I bought on Etsy as well. But I have yet to do any of the actual construction of like dioramas inside. But I have found these amazing, like I said, I found these amazing designs online. And tonight I was going to paint at least one of them, and I'll let you, my loving or my loving the loving audience of Paint Club decide. So we got 4 choices tonight. We got a zombie, medium size. That have they're all in progress, so we get to decide which one goes. All right, so we have what they call a guardian. I think it looks like a D&D beholder, or at least a very small one, especially with the eye stalks. Favorite monster, the classic Fishman, which, thanks to the folks on Instagram, helped me decide what color to paint the main skin tone. Pink, always winner. This one happens to be color of the month for October, the dusty red pink. And finally, we have a tree dude. No, nom, nom, nom. So we all get a choice. So let's see. First comment for the zombie, beholder, fishman, or tree dude. That's which one we'll work on tonight, or at least start. And yeah, go with there. Yeah. And then let's see. While we wait for somebody to make a choice, a little more water goes in me. And yeah. So let's see what else we got. I never actually refreshed the show notes. So hey, the fish. There you go. Thank you. All right. So I knew what you meant. You had to put the F in. That's cool. All right. So we got the fish man. All right. So we're just gonna. Is it all blurry? Oh, good. A little. That's not bad. As long as I don't do. Oh, that's me. All right, cool. So one of the coolest things about the event is just making new contacts, and yeah, that's cool. I like that. At least the positive contacts. Of course, nobody should keep the negative ones. All right, so here's the joy of what I had made. Let's see, it's this one. Okay. How does the camera work on this? All right, so one of the joys of the glazes that I made is that they're they're pretty pigment heavy, but so these are like 20% acrylic ink, and then you probably have there's 40% matte medium in there, and then the other 40%, depending on kind of what availability, I used airbrush flow retarder in there, and let's see. Transparent extender. Excuse me. So an airbrush transparent extender. So it has a retarding agent in there, and it's also like it's thicker than water, and it helps your paint flow throughout the airbrush. So I chose this because it also like loosens up the medium to allow it to flow into the grooves and cracks really well. I mean, like, it's ink, it would flow in there, but when you put it with the matte medium, you help thicken it up and you give it a little suspension, you give it a little transparency, then you add some of the airbrush extender in there, and it also thins it out, and it gives it goes back to a little more flow, like make it behave a little more like ink, but it still has some beef to it, right? And that's great. So you have a concentrated transparent acrylic paint, and this is if I were painting on a canvas or a panel, I would still be thinning this out significantly with water. On the three-dimensional surface, I still thin it down with some water, but I move it around. I put a dollop, or not a dollop, I put a swath on there, and then I will manipulate it all the way around. And I kind of treat the platform as a mid palette, so I can manipulate it around and around and around. So that's what I'm going to be doing a lot tonight with. And this one is a little bit different because I didn't care for how light my acrylic ink was in purple. So I ended up adding a little bit of Dioxazine Purple by Golden and their So Flat line, because that stuff is really heavily pigmented. And yeah. And the other really nice thing about doing it and using the droppers is it's very much some conservation on my part, because I'm typically just like I squish out way too much out of a dropper bottle, and this helps in that kind of control too. So let's see what we can do with this in terms of where that is. Hey, no worries. I would rather you spell a word than do anything silly on the road. All I'm going to do is get my brush wet a little, of course, and then so with this dark purple, what I'm going to do is try and get into I'm going to get it into the recesses and just enhance everything that's already this beautiful dark purple already. And yeah. So, and also to last time I flew solo on Talk About Paint Club, we got some very cool encouragement about the idea of creating a Patreon for myself, and I finally got off my ass, and not only did I start the whole thing, I ended up actually making it live just a couple days ago, and I have not publicized said things, but it's there, and I was very much just waiting for the end of this this event to be done so I can promote it in fair fashion across my internet platforms. So yeah, so thanks, Kimmy, for encouraging me to get that worked on, and I appreciate it. So the first color I'm going to lay down is this wonderful. It's a combination of two different purples. But yeah, so Dioxazine Purple is the darker of the two, and yeah, it's come out kind of royal purple like. Really like it. Once I finish with this, I'm going in with an umber and to go back over most of this, and it's going to darken the hell out of it. And that's cool. Yeah, and it's just going to turn up the contrast in all the dark areas up to 11. But the other way, negative 11. Negative 11. Well, and next time we see Nicole, we'll probably be reviewing the Ahsoka series, mayhaps. That's all. That's of course been a contingent. That's been on the plan to do for quite a while, and of course, circumstances being what they are, understandably why we do not discuss Ahsoka tonight. But that is definitely in the realm of things to do. Because now that I've had even more time to think about it, there's even more to think about. Yeah. Still thoroughly enjoyed it though. Like all the Star Wars content that we're getting, it's like if you told me when I actually had a formulated opinion about how Lucas ran things, if you told me in 1995 that we would be having so much Star Wars content out right now, never believed that in a million years. Like, you told me the prequels were the last things we'd get, might have been a little happy with that, but I would never believe that we'd have as much Star Wars content as we do, and that's cool. Like, even bad Star Wars content is content that we never thought we'd ever see, and that's pretty cool. Speaking of Star Wars content that we would never get to see, Timothy Zahn is, and the other convention that I didn't go to, or didn't vend at. Timothy Zahn, the creator of the Thrawn trilogy from way back in the day of with the Heir to the Empire, is actually at the Twin Cities Con, and I wish I had my copy of Heir to the Empire to try and get autographed tomorrow. Yeah, that's pretty badass. My brother, once upon a long time ago, gave me a Mars Attacks T-shirt that he picked up at a convention in Waco. To when he and his wife met Jeremy Bulloch, the original Boba Fett. And I have that shirt. I have great appreciation for T-shirts, and especially ones with pinpoints of time in our life or highlights in our own timelines. And that Mars Attack shirt hits a few buttons, and my brother freaking knew it. Good buttons, that is. And my brother freaking knew it and knew that was the perfect gift for me. And much appreciated. And all the retrospect vision in the world, I suppose it's also an apology for when he was in college and you come visit and just take my T-shirts to go to college, because I had better T-shirts for him at the time, or better T-shirts than him at the time. Anybody who knew, and there are a couple of you on the stream that knew my brother, or know my brother, so yeah. Like, that story is legit. So let's see, and then it's on. I wonder if that's right. You got a lot of cool people, cool things going on up in that other event, other convention. It's just weird to be like, oh yeah, you're at this major event, and there's another one right next door. I don't know who planned that. It's like choosing your fucking event in New York against the same weekend as Pride, and thinking that people are going to want to go to both. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, so yeah, there you go. You can see that the purple is shaping up, like I've gotten the chin, that hand. This hand is being worked on, and then we're just going to go back to work up from the bottom lip up. I'm going to sound like Bob Ross in a minute and say one of my favorite things that he would say that is the most obvious. I do like to paint. Not as common as his fluffy clouds or his little critters or something lives over here. I do love to paint. So yeah, how are we all doing tonight? Everybody's driving, having a drink, having a smoke, a Coke, something, right? We're all taking care of ourselves tonight. Yeah, so let's see. This upcoming week, we'll have, I have 2 applications pending for holiday events in December, but for the next 4 weeks, I have nothing planned, so it's a lot of catching up on um, personal projects. I can't say they're commissions because they're not. They these are projects that are very much, I've been told, hey, when you finish them, let me know so I can have first dibs. Okay. Like, I love hearing that, and I have about 500 in the success of said statement. So I have a couple projects that are very much fall into that category. So yeah, we're going to finish those up. King Corpse being one of them. Um, King Corpse being one of them. Let's see what else. Well, I have a couple toys that I painted up to look like statues, and I'm going to borrow a phrase one of my favorite political commentators used, and I'm going to utilize that on some pieces this week with this upcoming break. I'm just going to call it a break. I don't really have a name for this. Relax. Like, I'll be making stock casting resin pieces and stuff. Kimmy, you're still on here, right? I have a question for you if you do. I have a question for you if you are. Let's see. So casting resin things and painting them as well. But yeah, getting about 2, 3, 4 personal projects finished. One of them may end up being in a collaboration with a very popular YouTuber, or more popular than I. So yeah, I'm trying to get some cool shit made. I was thinking that, like, next week, no, not next week, next event I was going to have some cruder labels onto my work. Like, let's see, not necessarily, but for example, saying like weird shit here, cool stuff over here, things that'll embarrass your grandma over here, and yeah, see how that works. You know, little odd, little brutal truth in advertising or truth in promotion. So yeah. Or with my sticker stand, I was very much thinking win the real world meme battle, and yeah, say it with stickers. All right, so yeah, check that out. It's all the access parts, or access. The recessed parts got some shading in there. It's still very purpley. See, and then I did a little volumetric shading as well to push up. Not only do we have the wrinkles, but how it curves around in space. Yeah, it's looking pretty slick. I'm just going to thin down this glaze a little more, and I'm going to hit up the sides where I think I missed the volumetric pressure, or volumetric shading. And before I make it to these blue parts of the guild, I'm going to make an adjustment and add a little blue-green to this, so I can have that fleshy, let's see, what do you want to say? Make it look like it is still like a part of the same skin tone by mixing this purple in with a bluer one to give it that, like, circulating skin look. God damn, I'm at a loss for words. All right, so or grab our phthalo blue, and I did so when I was making these. This was probably one of the cooler things about this. While I was making these things, after I had like my standard measurements of how I wanted to do these, because I had 2 or 3 that I made off camera before I made this 14 bottle swath. I ended up having like a bunch of these little sticks, or not sticks, but cutoffs from the laser cutter. And so I had previously put a texture paste on them for one project, and for one project and for testing, and I made way too many of these. I just kept slathering this paste on because I thought my other project for all the testing was going to take way more than it did. So, I don't throw anything away. So these got saved, and they ended up being perfect to test out, or just to make swatches, samples of how my glazes worked, and this worked out great. Like, you can see, like, even though that's diluted by 4-to-1 with the ink to the medium, I have a shit ton of coverage on there, and it flows really well, and it goes into the recesses of that texture nicely. And yeah, so, and I said to myself, I don't need to label these things. I'm just going to keep them organized in that box the way they are. I mean, my friends are now laughing at that statement. After the first time I misorganized them, I broke out the Sharpie and labeled them all, because I'm like, I did not spend all this time and effort to have this misled. So meanwhile, back to the original painting. So yeah, so give it a couple shakes. You squirt out the eyedropper before you do, and put it there and there, and then boom, it's done. So we'll go over here, mix up a little water with that because of my wonderful texture palette. Just give a swatch there. I need a little more purple. Boom, great. And you can see, like, on the texture palette on my palette, I'm like, yeah, it is my texture palette. That's fucking blue. Now, what I'll get to do with this is I'm gonna use it on the gills to detail it, and then I will thin it down even more, and I'll go in and shade the webbing on the hands. So it may look like I just squirted out a lot unceremoniously, but no, it has purpose, I promise. Now we're going to come in here and lay out some very dark blue, and then we're going to move it around and getting it to look sharp. Now, a few weeks ago, when we were discussing like crappy brushes and why we used them or how to use them better, I'm revisiting this topic a lot. I've been revisiting this topic a lot, just for a couple purposes. One, because this is a filament 3D print, I suspect, I don't know because I don't have a ton of experience painting on them, but I suspect that because of the way the filament layers up on there, it will act as an abrasive to brushes. So I don't have a lot of plans to use like my Excalibur level brushes on doing the finest detail work on these, except for the very end of it when it's like I have to write my name on a grain of sand. But I have been using this. It is a watercolor brush by Princeton. It's their Aqua Elite, and it's a number 4. Numbers don't really matter on to paint manufacturers, because there is no standard unit of measurement that the paintbrush manufacturers actually abide by. They just, like, the smaller the number, the finer the detail, or the smaller the brush. That's really just the way. That's how much it goes. So one person's number 4 may be another person's number 6 or 7, and like somebody's zero brush or double zero is probably somebody else's 1 or 2, and that's just the way it works. And that's just generally accepted, that it's not as uniform as people would like to believe. So when you're a beginner painter and you're like, oh, I got a number 0 brush, this must be fine tuned, and it might not be, because you might have something that's just a little chunkier. Yeah, what a hell of a tangent. So this one, it does get down to a really nice point. I believe this is, I want to say it's squirrel, and maybe it's not, but it does get to a nice point. It started out its life with a nice fine point, and it's held true. And I mean, I have abused the shit out of this brush. I have two of them, and they both have been just literal. They've been abused, and they still come back to a point, and I'm really impressed with that. And so it's like I cannot like I don't remember how much this was, but it couldn't have been too expensive where I didn't buy two. You know what I mean? So it's I'm gonna recommend. I would recommend this brush. You guys know I don't do a lot of like go buy this thing. I leave that for Nicole, who gets very passionate about her products and stuff. But when I do, man, this one's a winner. It really fucking is. Like once I have to go buy when I have to go buy extra supplies in the next 2-3 days, I'm going to be looking at like what other size I can get because I have two of these number fours, and I really like them. And I wonder like how far I could push the other ends of this, like what their number one looks like versus their number eight or seven, 6 or 8, depending on if they expanded it that far. And while I was talking, I totally ignored part of my plan, and I'm now applying this blue violet to a lot of the recesses of the pink skin. So we're going to continue that, and yeah, just crank up the shading with that. Can you guys tell I'm a little tired and yeah, distracted? It's all right. Yeah, so now those fingers look really dark with the blue. It looks fucking cool. And having it look rule of cool, right? Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, because like this freaking brush, I wouldn't say I scrub with it because that's totally not the. Gosh, I would never. Yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty rough on it, and I don't know if it's because it's a watercolor brush because so they have like a different type of bristle that just works with that kind of mopping motion. But man, I do like this, and I like it a lot, and to where I very much think that I might do a one brush challenge on this. Not not like ooh, there's some weird viral one make something with one brush, but like just to see how fucking far like this one brush could push in a piece. I think that might be kind of cool, just to be like, I give this 6 blinking eyes in the Strohmeyer approval chart. Blinking eyes are now like my version of other people's stars or thumbs up. Maybe waking eyes. How do you like that, Robin? So it's like just goes with the Insomniac theme and the ever watchful Eldritch powers. All right. Yeah, so we're just going to move this blue around all over the place. Some would say I would have just been better off to dunk it in there, and I'd say you're wrong. And that's okay that you're wrong. Because, to quote my good friend Bob Ross, I do love to paint. All right. All right. Touch up that forehead. coincidentally, as we discuss these glazes here, um, the complete recipe of how they're made will probably be available on my Patreon. Um, yeah, it's one of the many rewards that that I've got on there is a paint breakdown or paint breakdowns and how to customize like your very own to make your own badass stuff for your own badass projects, and also walkthroughs on how to do such things, and live stream workshopping for various projects. So yeah, all cool shit. And then higher tier ones will get like actual physical things too. Yeah, so like one of the big goals for the high tier one is doing toy drawings or art toy or artwork drawings throughout the year and doing giveaways to those patrons. Hey, that sounds cool. All right, so I am purposefully ignoring parts that I hit with the airbrush earlier. That eye is probably not going to be green for long, but all of where that glow is totally going to be, all where that green is totally going to be a glow later on. So I kind of want to keep that light and preserve that right now. Yeah, so we're just beefing up those cracks, and she's looking great. And do go over the gills part again, because like it's a lot easier when you're working with glazes to make things darker than it is to make them lighter. But like that's why we invented whites. We could just start slopping it over and trying to fix fix it that way. But yeah, I prefer going like super dark and or starting at I prefer to have like all your values laid out and then you start glazing it in like you would like the old colorization of black and whites, black and white movies. So that's my preferred painting method. I may not do it all the time. That's where I really like going, and glazing like this, totally awesome. Now, when we first started making this in college, it was for non-objective sculptures, where like, you know, we made these things out of plaster, and we had to colorize them somehow. We had to color them somehow, and this was like the best way to do it because you got a lot of bang for your buck. Plaster is, of course, very porous and accepting of liquids, so you got the right fluid glaze to go over that, and it just changed. It made it look magical. And that's what we're doing here, to a much lesser extent, but we still get that magic going. It's awesome. Yeah, so like the gums here, I would normally grab a very tiny brush to meticulously go in there, and I'm not going to. I'm going to thin down the blue. Not thin down the blue with a different blue. No, I'm going to thin it down with black, and not a lot of it. All I'm going to do is, whoop, there you go. Not even half a drop, and then I'm going to thin it down with water, so it looks like I have a lot more than I do. And you guys can see, you guys know, I have preached the gospel about not letting paint go up into the ferrule. I have preached about not letting paint go halfway up your brush, and it stays in the barrel of the bristles instead of going into the ferrule. And I have been slopping it all around with this brush, and I really haven't cared too much because I've been able to manage to get it to squeeze back to a point with very little effort. I haven't had to do the brush rescue that we've shown on the show before to reform it. It's just fucking magical. I appreciate it. I would call your eye logo vigilant. Thank you. So, like, on a scale of 1 to 5, it would get 5 vigilant eyes. That sounds dope. I will definitely take that verbiage into consideration. Yeah, so like, you guys see what I'm doing? Like, I've got a huge ass swath. I just took a huge ass swipe in the puddle I call watered down glaze, and yeah, I'm just using the tip of the brush to smush it around, and that tip is staying legit, or at least it's conforming to where I need it to go, and that's awesome. We're going to review this video and be like, Rick's fucking obsessing over this fucking brush. Yes, he is. When you find a good tool, you got to let everybody know about it. Yeah, so with this very thin brush, thin glaze of purple, phthalo blue, and black, now the gums are slowly going to look like my chows and my Sharpays. And that's a great effect. So vigilant eyes. I dig it. I dig it a lot. We're going to get there. I should make like a animated GIF that has like just the eye and the wings to be like open and close, and then the pupil shifts side to side, and then whoa, Rick strobe. Or a life meter, like in Legends of Zelda. You, instead of the little heart containers, you have eyeballs going across. That's cool too. Yeah, so one thing you'll notice, if I do this, you may notice, is that this is a filament print, and with these really watered down glazes, the glazes are going into the recesses of each layer line, and it's highlighting it. And what I'll do later on is, with my magical brush that I can't stop talking about, is I'll go in and I'll put little dabs of lighter paint around each layer that's shaded in there, and it'll be mottled up, and it'll look like it's meant to be that kind of speckled look. And by doing so, it helps give a more lifelike look to it, even though this ain't fucking lifelike, but it'll give that creepy vibe to it. And that's rad too. All right, let's see. It is 9:30. I'm going to pull the plug on this in about 15 minutes. But yeah, it's been nice to paint along and chit chat with everybody. What I'll do now is we're going to get, before I go to this, we'll do the webbing in the hands. When I do that, I'm just going to take this black and beef it up a little with a little more blue, and hope that's the right color. It is not. So take a little sap green, shake it up, one drop, and I hope that's right. Swap it down. You betcha. All right. You betcha. Oh, yeah. We're going to go and knock those pins down and get that black glaze in there and show off those highlights. Sometimes you got to code switch in the Minnesota world. Yeah. We're just going to throw it down really quick. And then start moving it around. I'm going to go back up. And I'm just going to hit everything in the recesses and boom, look at that. Instant contrast made. The detail just popped. Let's see. 4 vigilant eyes. Excellent. So yeah, and let's see. I think I talked about this last time we were actually on the show. I ended up taking the class at the Twin City Makers to learn how to use their 3D printers, the filament ones. So during this break of not going to shows but preparing stock and stuff, I plan on actually 3D printing, which sounds so fucking foreign to me, but confidence level based on the dude's presentation and the online resource that the Makerspace does provide to make sure that you know what you're fucking doing there all alone. Thank you, Nicole. I feel confident in wanting to go try my hand at 3D printing. So I'm going to step into the future with that. And I already have a couple of notes on things that I would like to make with 3D rendering software that's available. I have Nomad for my iPad, and I've used it half a dozen times. But I very much have some interest in making 3D models and stuff. So I'm going to encourage that while I can. For those who know, I am not a sculptor. I can play one on TV. And yeah, so this idea of wanting to make three-dimensional objects is a little foreign, but it's also exciting because, yeah. So looking forward to trying my hand out on that. All right, so yeah, so I took this phthalo blue, dioxine purple, sap green, and black mixture, and have slapped it throughout the webbing on this, and it's changed how it looks, and it's made it less vibrant all over, and it's given it focus to those, and that's pretty rad. So the term for the night is "that's pretty rad," and I'm going to I'm going to take this and I'm going to throw it on the gums, and it's going on a little more blue than I would like. That's fine, because when I start applying an umber to the pink skin tone, I'll hit this up too, and that'll neutralize the shit out of it, and it'll turn it pretty black. And if you've ever had the privilege of looking inside a Chow's or a Sharpay's mouth, they're pretty black. And they are my and they have black tongues. Their mouths are pretty black. I'm going to have somebody tell me, Rick, all dogs' mouths are black. Cool. But yeah, so like once upon a time, I decided that if I could get away with it, every tongue that any toy that I have an exposed tongue on, I'm going to make it black or blue or purple, just like my dogs. And even if it's just some weird ass electric blue, it's still blue, right? So that's just been my own little homage or love of that breed of dog. And yeah, so little Rick factotum right there, Rick factoid right there. So yeah, we're gonna just continue that on this monster too. Everybody gets black gums if you can. All right, so looks like the webbing is drying up, and I'm moving some of this blue glaze around so I can have enough time for this to dry. One of the joys of using this kind of glaze and with a lot of the airbrush extender is if you don't wait for it to completely dry, you might actually reactivate it. And in some instances, that works really well for blending. But in other times, it's like, oh shit, it looks like a bad sunburn, and you're just scrubbing it off. And I don't think a lot of people want that in their fucking paint. So it's nuanced. Yeah. Nuanced. I should go back and change the title of this episode to Rick's Wonder Brush. Or maybe we'll just call next episode that and be like, go back one step. All right. And there you go. Ta-da! When I first got this dude, I was very much thinking I would paint him like a lionfish. I mean, especially like the way the hands are coming out. I mean, it looks like a cubist nightmare for a lionfish. And instead I decided I'd ask Instagram for in a public opinion poll, a couple different colors, and pink won out with large numbers. So yeah, I'm gonna go there. We went there. And I'll save the lionfish for another time. That is cool. So let's see. My love of using up stuff. I'm using some selective. I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm just picking out some wrinkles to just highlight, make them look a little deeper than others. When I start putting on the brown wash, it will be a very subtle look. So we all know in basic color theory, you look at the color wheel, you have your 12 colored steps and stuff, and you say to yourself, okay, the opposite of blue is orange, and that's going to create your black or a brown, and it's mostly true. Depending on the manufacturers, you might get a little poopy look to it because they might have snuck in some white in one of those two colors. But if you want a really nice rich black using artist paints, phthalo blue and raw umber mixed together makes a really nice black. So you can those two, just it makes a really nice cool black. It's visually pleasing, and that's what we're going to do tonight, or maybe not tonight. That's what we're going to do on this. Is I'm going to mix up some umber, and that'll be the change will be pretty sudden, and it'll look super. It'll look rich, and that's important. This style of painting that I enjoy, the layer. It's like laying layers of glass on top of each other to build up your final image, and it doesn't have to be the same color. You start putting extra colors in your layers of glass. It just makes everything more visually interesting, and I really like that. The Cthulhu that I shared earlier tonight is a pretty good example of being able to do that. with about 6, 7 different colors, but ultimately yellows on top, and with all the nooks and crannies and the curvature of the shapes, it really lent itself out to that kind of expression. I really, yeah, very pleased the way that came out. So, hope that's a great explanation for y'all. Yeah. So I'm just trying to turn up the contrast on this, and it's kind of like in Photoshop, and you move your contrast bar all over the place, and and I have a great mid-tone, which is kind of probably a little higher than a mid-tone, but all I'm doing is I'm taking the dark values and I'm just smushing them down to make it as dark as possible, so that when I want to build up my highlights, it's not going to be it's not going to have to be as drastic to make the areas pop. So yeah. So let's see. The last time we are talking about brushes and stuff, and I was talking about like, well, you have your brushes that you don't mind abusing because of like dry brush or texture paste or whatever. But then you have your standard your something that you use for base coating that's like it's a workhorse, and you can get big areas covered in short amount of time. Then you have a finer brush, and then you have like your Excalibur brush, which is like the one you use to write your name on a grain of rice with and stuff. And yeah, I would consider that brush an in between in my stages of ranking. And if I get an in between brush that performs admirably in both areas or in 2 areas, I'm going to use the shit out of it. Because what this does is like, if I can wear it down to where it no longer performs at a high detail level, there's still 2 other levels of use for this brush before it gives up the ghost and just becomes a really fancy stick. So that's a good thing. All right, I'm going to want to go, but before I do, I am going to show off or share the magic of why I'm going from all these blues to an umber. And let's see, I have, which one's this? Transparent burnt umber. Or I have these. Here's one that'll get any of the obsessive compulsive ones. I have a loose black brown, so I just kind of flip plop baby pooped it. So let's see. Okay, so I have one of the best colors out there, burnt umber. And instead of mixing it into the remnants of this one well, I'm going to go and have a brand new clean well for a few drops of brown. Brown is one of the best colors in the world. I think I've said that a couple of times tonight, but it's pretty useful. All right, so let's see. You see that there? Let's bring it over here. That's pretty transparent. All right. So magic time, I suppose. Actually, I do want a little bit more. So, grab that, drop that. Yeah, it's super transparent. All right, so magic time. Go over here to this part under the lip. And I'm going to leave this ridge alone so we can do a little visual comparison in just a minute. As you can see, I've slopped it on, and I'm going to be moving around very quickly. Like I will probably go over this actually, I'm going to sop up some of it, and I'm going to go over the lip and part of that gum line. So this will kind of blend in where I had was not the cleanest at the seam. But you can see how that's gotten significantly darker than that. Once it dries, it'll be a little more apparent. And I'm just going to go in all the darkest areas. Part of figuring out which are the darker areas was brought to you by the airbrush. Just in the way the light hit, or the way the airflow hit, helps create the shadows. And I'm not going all the way up to where the purple is. I'm leaving some of that alone, and then I'm hitting up some of the darker areas, turning the contrast up. And let's see, the claws, I haven't touched those tonight, so let's give the claws a little bit of purpose. And I'm going to be pretty loose with these. I'll wipe it down with the glove finger. Do a little finger painting tonight. Always a fun thing to do. And I'm really just painting in the cuticle and the bottom half of the claw. That's the first value put on there, so might look a little choppy right now. It'll look better later. And if I had thought about it, I would have turned on my above camera too, so I could have time-lapse footage for YouTube or for my other YouTube channel. All right, so, oh, that's wonderful. All right, do we see that all right? Okay, so the top of the gums I didn't touch with the burnt umber, but the bottoms did. You can see how that's starting to get darker, and it's really nice. Just a sexy, classy look, because that's what we are, sexy, classy folk down here. All right, so let's see. And when I'm using a cross hatching motion, really more than anything, is like, just making little, just like my good friend Bobby Ross, making little X's in my shadows to try and hatch it out. And if I'm not doing hatches, I'm doing dots and dashes. All right, so we got everything except from the upper lip up. We're just gonna hit that up and go, man, go. So I'm gonna put in the deepest recesses in the sides. I'm gonna highlight or shade every crevice, and in some parts that'll make the pink look a little red. Might actually satisfy the color of the month for this month. Might make it a little red. In some areas, it might cool it down. It'll be cooled down where it overlaps with the phthalo blue glaze, and where it doesn't, it'll probably feel a little warmer. Both are acceptable outcomes for that. And then once I bring it down over that ridge up to the big swath of purple, I'm just smashing it around with X's and dashes, whatnot. I'm scumbling. That's the fancy term. So yeah, we're being somewhat careful with the recesses, and on the big areas that are purple, just smashing it around. It's cool. It's like my pumpkin patch. The secret to my pumpkin patch's success was abuse uh, or neglect. I guess neglect is abuse, but yeah, that was the secret to a successful pumpkin patch, was totally neglect it. So that's what I'm doing with my paintbrush right now. Just I'm poo-pooing on it, and it keeps just saying, "Hey, look what else I can do." Thank you. So you guys see that? It's fucking rad. I have no desire for this show to actually be monetized. I don't care about swearing here. It also shows I'm really fucking tired. All right, so yeah, so there we are for the night. I've beefed up a lot of cool areas. Got a lot of texture to it. Got a lot of I've enhanced a lot of the textures on it. And yeah, it's let's see, I'd say when we started the night it was about 35-40% done, and now it's about it's good 70. So yeah, rock on. It was fun it was fun painting this. It was fun doing a talk along on the processes and my amazing miracle brush. Thanks for, let's see. So the miracle brush. Thank you all for watching, if it's live or recorded. Yeah, and once again, we at Paint Club, our heart goes out to Jennifer's family, and she'll be missed. So until the next time, thanks a bunch, and yeah, see you later. There it is. Put everything away.